Corporate Clash has some of the most unique bosses I've ever faced in any video game. These are so memorable to me, and experiencing them for the first time was amazing. But with so many different battles that vary in themes and difficulty, some would obviously be disliked more than others. Throughout my time playing Clash and hearing discussions about all the battles, I've noticed that Witch Hunter is always usually brought up in a negative light compared to the other manager battles. I'm very confident that among all the Kudos managers, Witch Hunter is disliked the most, but why is that? In this video, I'm going to be explaining his fight, then going over what may be the causes of the negative views surrounding his fight. To preface, this is not a guide. I'm explaining his fight as simply as I can, skipping over most minor details and numbers so I can delve into why this fight may have been received so poorly against the rest. And obvious spoiler warning, if you haven't seen Witch Hunter's battle and you would like to see it experienced blind, I would click off now. Since you're still here, I assume you have seen his fight and are a little familiar with it at least, but I'll do a quick rundown on all the notable aspects of his battle. Witch Hunter is the third Kudos manager battle, coming right after Rainmaker. His fight takes place on one of the large towers in Toontown. To start off, the cheat he opens the fight with and you will see most often in this battle is Mob Mentality. Witch Hunter grants him cards an additional attack. He will also summon cards to surround the battlefield that will occupy open spots when they are available. His entire fight operates with how many cards are present. The more cards in the crowd, the stronger his cheats and defense will become, along with allowing more cards to be present on the battleground at once. Mob Mentality is performed every other round, so Toons will usually clear our cards via sound or zap the turn prior, so he has no cards to unalert and he does not grow too powerful. On the round he is not doing Mob Mentality, he will instead do Bewitchment, bestowing a Toon a fancy wizard hat. This Toon will now be more likely to be targeted and will take extra damage from cards. But this has an upside. In return, they gain a damage boost against Witch Hunter only, making it so the Bewitched Toon may favor targeting the Witch Hunter over anything else. You may even decide against healing a non-Bewitched teammate, as the focus may go to the Bewitched Toon. Also to note, with a higher mob count, he can do this to up to 2 Toons. Now every third turn he will perform Trial by Fire on a single Toon, inflicting the burn effect, which is self-explanatory. You just take some damage at the end of the turn. Additionally, there's an AoE version of this tat that triggers at certain health milestones, but it isn't too much to note. This burn doesn't last very long, so you don't really play around this cheat, it's just something that you kind of put up with. Also, why don't the Toons just soak each other? Are they stupid? And that's all his cheats. Yeah, this was actually way shorter than I thought it would be originally. The only other thing to note is that with Mob Mentality, a level 11 EXE Advocate is usually guaranteed to spawn, being a consistent threat in the fight. And at such high Mob Mentality rates, cards will be given Hive Mind, which will make cards target a certain Toon until the mob size drops enough to dephase him. You will usually never see this cheat activate though, as you have to be very behind. While this isn't helpful, a little funny fact is you can tell you've defeated him early by checking if the mob in the background disappears mid-turn. The mob isn't present in the cutscene, so it deloads early. I just thought this was a funny little thing to point out. Now onto what issues I've seen brought up regarding this fight. Witch Hunter's battle by itself isn't very hard, but it's more of a snowball. Due to his mob growing every other round, you need to be constantly clearing cards every other turn. Neglecting them will make that snowball slowly start to roll. And once it begins rolling, things sour quickly, and you'll most likely have to burn a lot of Unites. But hey, let's say you paid attention and used Zap or Sound before Mob Mentality to clear out the cards. Well, you silly goose, you totally forgot the fact that Soak and Sound can miss. Thankfully, the most essential guides for this fight have very high accuracy, but there's always a chance. Especially Lure. From my experience, I've noticed 1 or 2 misses isn't too bad, but being put a few turns back can make an impact. It can also be brutal on Mob Mentality round, since if they are unlured, some cards will attack more than once, and the damage can rack up quickly. That's the thing too, missing doesn't force you to change your strategy, you just have to clear out even more cards, making this more of a mild inconvenience rather than challenging you to think on the fly. This fight is very consistent, which is what I think is people's issue with it. Due to Witch Hunter using this 2-cheat pattern, people find his fight boring. You hit him, clear cards, hit him again, on and on until his HP reaches 0. The only difference here is if your gads feel like hitting. His mob growing is essentially his phases, but it does not introduce any new cheats that will shake up your strategy. It's more of a hurry up mechanic that just punishes you with bigger numbers until your group can't take it and goes sad. The fact that the fight centers around keeping his phase as well as possible. I've seen some people say to experience this fight's full potential, you need to put yourself a bit behind so the cheats like Hive Mind will activate. I feel this fight is super easy to learn and super consistent. Some see these as good things, but some find this bad, as repeat playthroughs of this fight just feels like a bore to them. Moving on from gameplay into a presentation perspective, I have no issues with Witch Hunter's design. In fact, I love it. It's actually one of my favorites. I adore the detail of how his mask is supposed to resemble a cauldron, giving the witch theming and all. His hat is amazing too. I'm glad they made it one of his rare drops, even if it's a bit small in some tunes. I also love the incorporation of his theme into his cheats. Witch hunting, accusing people of being a witch, getting a mob mentality, burning at the stake, yep, it's all here. Adding on to this, I genuinely really enjoy his music and love the fight's environment. I think it's pulled off incredibly. It taking place on a tower high above the land with taunts circling you growing in numbers, I think it's really well done and looks amazing. I think the reason people feel underwhelmed with this presentation isn't because of anything he did, but more of what the manager before him did. Rainmaker is the boss of Barnacle Boatyard, the playground before Ye Olde Toontown. While it's not required to fight her first, most will since it's in order. And as you may know, her fight blows everything out of the water, being super crazy both mechanic and presentation wise. This is wild considering she's only the second Kudos manager boss most players would face. Most people regard her fight as having some of the best music, cutscenes, cheats, and writing. My theory on what happened is people fought Rainmaker first, which built such a high expectation when they were presented with something simpler, they couldn't help but feel disappointed. Witch Hunter's placement is unfortunate, but I feel like this is one of the causes of people feeling unsatisfied with this battle. It's not bad, but just rather basic. One of the other things I would like to discuss is Witch Hunter's music. All Kudos managers have 2 tracks or more. Witch Hunter technically has 3 tracks. His music is adaptive to the number of cards in his mob, his song gaining more instruments at a certain threshold. But I say technically, because this is such a subtle detail, most people didn't even realize his music changes. I'll play all 3 of them in order, you can try and hear the difference for yourself. I don't know about you, but I can barely hear a difference, and if you're not looking out for it explicitly, it may even be harder to notice. Also, the fact that there isn't a visual tell alongside the change in his music too probably plays into why people miss this detail. So this causes people to hear only one theme and find it repetitive to listen to for the entire fight. Even with this though, I personally really love this track and it's actually one of my favorites, but I've seen most people not be too crazy for it, which I can see why, but I still enjoy it nonetheless. Those are all the reasons I believe most people regard this fight lower down. The repetitiveness of his battle and being shadowed by Rainmaker's presentation are what I think hurt his fight in most people's eyes. Though I still believe people greatly exaggerate how bad his fight is. I see some people treat it like it's hell on earth. To me, I think it's just simple and decent. Not amazing, but not bad by any means. And as you can see, I quite enjoy fighting him, even if I had to do it over 40 times for the stupid pitchfork. And I think he's a great addition to the game. Just not one of the managers to leave a strong impact after facing him. I also believe some of the developers said they wish they could redo this fight and make big changes, but they are focusing on other things for the game right now and don't want to dedicate resources to something that's functional enough. I 100% understand that, and I'm glad they are focusing on bringing new features. All the negative things I've said in this video have not been out of hate, but love for this game and wanting to see it improve. I honestly don't even mind if he stays like this forever. He serves the role of a basic and easy to understand battle, but a bit tougher than Free-Thinker so you can challenge yourself. His fight being super consistent also makes it even easier if you want to do a speedrun. But other than that, that's all I have to say. I thought it would be fun to look into this fight and discuss it, and it was. I enjoyed researching it and actually replaying it a few times to get the footage. How do you feel about this battle? Like it? Hate it? I'd love to hear all your thoughts. The last thing I want to say is I can't thank y'all enough for the recent support on the channel. Even though I'm covering a game that isn't really mainstream and gets talked about a ton, I'm glad to see some people want to see me talk about it. I hope you all have a nice day and stay tuning.